How's everyone doing today? This is Chopping It Up Hardcore with Hal Capone, discussion number 80. Today, my special guest is Frankie Zerilli from the bands Mayans, Daesu, Lytic. He's in a new band called Pembroke. Super stoked to talk to him. Just been friends with him on Instagram for a while, so I can't wait to talk to him and finally kind of meet face to face and stuff like that. Hope everybody's good. Hope everybody's well. Not bad weather out here in New Hampshire today. Doing a little parking lot pimping. Ron, what's up, my brother? So this is the first time he's ever done an IG Live, so we'll see if he's in here yet. He's coming. There we go. Frankie, I'm grabbing you right now.
Frankie,
Hey,
what's going on?
brother Hal. It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you, man.
This
Can you
is
hear
great.
me
How
all
you
right?
doing?
Good. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear pretty well. Let me raise the volume a little bit.
All
I
right.
got no earbuds in, but I hear you well. Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, sometimes it gets a little weird on Instagram Live, but
This is cool. Yeah, I really appreciate you asking me to be on here. I'm so
yeah,
happy.
I want to thank you so much for taking time out to do it. I appreciate it, really. It's been a long time coming, too.
I've seen a good chunk, maybe good like 95% of your videos since the very beginning. So it's just like, uh, you know, all the way from the early ones. And you're doing the car. I know you're in the car right now.
Yeah, yeah. I was a little crazy at my house, so I was like, I'll just do it in the car.
It's probably like nice, peace and quiet. And I don't
Yeah,
know about in New York, but like definitely here in New York, the weather's been getting warmer, and you could get a sense of like people are really excited to just be out and about and kind of be out of the house, and you get a sense of like people are feeling spring is upon us, and
yeah.
everyone just seems happier outside right now.
Yeah, I agree, definitely. This week has been really good here. I got to play basketball outside for the first time in months, so it's a good thing, definitely, for sure. I'm ready for spring and summer. It was a long winter.
Yeah, that's right. That you do. You coach basketball? Is it for like high school team or?
I was coaching my daughter's team, which was at that time rec, and then she started middle school, so I wasn't coaching, but I was there at every practice and every game,
Oh,
like kind of coaching from the sidelines. So
oh, I got you. Yeah. But hey, to be like, that transition from indoor to outdoor it's gotta feel exciting. It's
yeah,
gotta feel good.
definitely. Usually when I start off, the first question I usually ask is, what got you into punk and hardcore? And secondly, what were you listening to before you were listening to punk and hardcore music as a kid?
Oh yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this the other day, and well, just for context wise, I was born in 1988 and in New York, and so my family we were living in Manhattan, and then when I was around like 4 or 5, then we moved up to Queens, to Flushing, Bayside, Queens, and that's probably where I would say more so when we were living in our house when we were in Flushing, Queens. I know you're gonna like this because I definitely have a memory of hearing Sade just all the time.
Yeah, I love Sade.
Sade, whether it was in the car, or whether it was just like being playing on the stereo. I know my parents had the CDs, or just whether it maybe came on MTV. MTV was just always on
Yeah.
all the time. So watching Beavis and Butthead. I know you hear this answer a lot, but Nirvana,
Mm.
uh, the Smells Like Teen Spirit being played over and over again. That was a big, huge eye opener, a big game changer. And that was all happening in Queens. I would say, like, especially with Nirvana, that stuck when I was about 6 years old.
Yeah.
I remember the music video clearly and stuff like them and Nine Inch Nails, maybe like the Downward Spiral, Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah.
But that was stuff that spoke really early on. And other than that, maybe just in general, classic rock, I would say. Here we have a station called Q104.3, and they just play classic rock 24/7.
Yeah.
So I think since a kid till today, even when I'm driving today, I have that station on, and bands like Boston, hearing round. What do you call it? Was it Roundabout? More Than a Feeling. That song, like early on, the bass and the drums being locked in like that. And my parents, they love music and they appreciate music. They wouldn't be able to. Maybe my dad could play piano a little bit. They wouldn't play music necessarily, but their appreciation for music and just having it on. Another band being the Police was always kind of played. Yeah.
Yeah.
So probably with a guy like Stuart Copeland, hearing those drums,
Yeah.
between that and Boston with the bass and drums and maybe a Rush here and there. Really, the drums early on is what caught my attention, I would say, while living in Queens at that time. So like 93, 94, around those years,
Yeah.
And so that was pre-punk hardcore. And then just every year that went by, it wouldn't be until like middle school and grade school, entering high school, that talking to kids and talking to other peers that punk and hardcore became a notion and ever became spoken about,
Yeah. Yeah. Now, what grabbed you though? What was the first thing that you listened to for hardcore that you were like, ooh, like I really like this, like I kind of want to get into this like scene and start listening to this music more.
I could tell you, because so after Queens, then when I was like 8 years old, then my family, we got up and we moved to Rockland County, to the Hudson Valley. So this is like a half an hour outside of New York City. It's Nyack. Do you know where the Tappan Zee Bridge is, up the Hudson River?
Yep.
It's right there. Yeah, the Tappan Zee Bridge leads from Westchester into Nyack. So we lived in West Nyack. Still, my folks are up there, and so you figure 8 years old there, and 2001. Well, I was in fifth grade, but I would say seventh grade, 2001. That's when things really started to take a different thing, because we discovered that Nyack had a local music scene going, and our hometown heroes at the time were this band Coheed and Cambria.
Yeah.
Coheed and Cambria was like, that was the it band. People were going to town in hopes of catching a Coheed show. And my sister is 3 years older than me, so she kind of had the first leg in being able to do this kind of thing. And I owe a lot to my sister. Just moving into this new town, we didn't know anybody, but my sister took it upon herself to just like, hey, let me see what's like going on this town over here. And it wasn't just Coheed; it was also the Sawtooth Grin. This band.
Yeah.
They're also Rockland County, And man, I'm telling you, when it's seventh grade, so 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm like 12 years old, and my sister's like putting on the Sawtooth Grin CD for me on her stereo in her room, and I was like, what the fuck? Those vocals, are you kidding me? Like Rich doing the vocals for Sawtooth. It was almost, I was laughing because I've never heard anything like that before.
Yeah.
I was like giddy hearing something like that. It was unbelievable. But I was like, is this a real thing? Is it? So you're telling me that there's folks like this is a music scene, and it's like right down the road. And so we went, like
Yeah.
those shows. It was saying like Coheed played an acoustic set, the Sawtooth Grin in Orangeburg, like a weird venue that it was really just a bar, and I would say like that was a big eye opener. And before that though, like I said, Nine Inch Nails was one of the first CD I owned, and then I had Mechanical Animals by Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
And then the third CD I had was because this band was being talked about a lot. It was Poison the Well, The Opposite of December. And that's probably a CD that I wore thin, because I don't know. It was just, it's metalcore, but so I know my sister probably had that going, but also I had an older cousin named Johnny, who he at some point in time mentioned Poison the Well to me. And so then I like go on the computer, and there's Kazam, was it Kazaa? And SoulSeek, downloading sites like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
I used to do that all the time.
SoulSeek was a big one, and that's probably like going, I do SoulSeek like at that point, so like 8th grade, 9th grade, and I'm probably looking for people who have Poison the Well, Opposite of December, and then seeing what else they have. But
yeah,
All I can tell you is like, especially that album, because Poison the Well, they would have clean parts. They would have like these crazy mosh, but then going to these like pretty clean guitar parts. And there's no question that that's why I then fell in love with screamo music,
Yeah.
uh, as we know it, as we'd call it. I was like, so so screamo music is like all the pretty clean parts that Poison the Well was doing, but almost for like their whole song. And I thought that that was the coolest to have screaming on top of melodic guitar parts at all. You know,
Yeah, yeah. Now, what bands kind of brought you to screamo though? What were the like key bands for you when you first kind of heard it?
I would say then the like the gateway bands probably being Thursday, hearing Thursday, Full Collapse.
Yeah,
Uh, well, Glassjaw too. And again, because that was also an early show. We were almost like following Coheed around. I was like tailgating with my, riding with my sister and her friends at the time, and they're like, "Oh, Coheed's playing a show," and this band Glassjaw, like they're opening for this band Glassjaw. So
yeah,
just being able to see that early on, like 2002 or something, that was an early show for me. And Coheed opened for them for American Nightmare, the Blood Brothers. But I guess you could say like that was maybe screamo. Yeah, something
yeah,
like the Blood Brothers. That was a very very early sort of screamo
yeah, yeah.
that I heard as well. Yeah, and then
Now,
from
what?
then to
Oh,
Orchid, and naturally like that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And what got you into playing drums? Were you always wanted to start playing drums, or did you try something else before drums?
Actually, it was all with drums. I really wanted to do it for school, for
Mm,
like for high school bands. We had concert band going,
yeah,
and so probably like when I'm like 9, first full year that we're living in Rockland County, in the suburbs there, like the school is offering for the kids which instrument to take up. So right away, I had the idea for drums, but it was all taken. It was all 100% taken. Every kid wanted to be on drums,
yeah,
which really meant doing marching band like snare drum.
yeah, yeah,
So I was like, fuck, they're all on drums. So the next best thing, I don't know why, but the next best thing was the French horn. So I took up really the French horn was the first instrument I took up full time. And
yeah,
so that was, man, that was from fourth grade till the end of high school, till 12th grade. So till this day, I still got my French horn. I'm looking at it. It's right here in my room. And I always tell this to Jamie, for instance, with Lytic, for instance, I'll say like, hey, if you ever incorporate French horn, it might be.
yeah, yeah,
I don't know how much like note reading I remember, but even just to like improvise and maybe do a avant-garde thing. But because I was taken for school, I was like, well, maybe I'll just get drums for home then, and then kind of bug my parents to see if they would put up with the loud noise and if there was any small drum set anywhere we could just buy a cheap drum set. And
yeah,
first drum set bought was, let's see, it was from BJ's Wholesale, and $50 drum set, like not even real skins,
yeah,
just little tiny 10-inch cymbals that sound so splashy. And that was set up. My parents, I really have to thank them for putting up with that loud noise, because it was set up in the living room of our house. And I mean, so this is like, I would say this was then fifth grade, a year or two like after taking up French horn. I was like, I like doing the French horn, but I need to finally get a feel for drums already.
yeah,
Like a year or two after, I get this really cheap drum set, and then after that, the first official drum set was a Yamaha, like a Yamaha Stage Custom. It's a real deal kit that my grandpa helped set up, and
yeah,
so this at that point is the next year, so maybe sixth grade, and that after that having a real drum set, it was like I'm trying to play Poison the Well songs. I'm trying to replicate anything that was like hitting early on like that.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
Uh,
that's awesome.
but that was it pretty much. Yeah, and then nonstop ever since then. I maybe took drum lessons a little bit here and there for like Nyack had a drum studio. They had a little like drum store,
Yeah,
and they were offering drum lessons. But I would say it helps just to like get the rhythm down. But other than that, everything was usually just self-taught, trying to replicate other songs.
yeah,
Trying to play the main three things: a blast beat, a breakdown, and and eventually just trying to play a screamo beat. And
Yeah.
eventually, and still till this day, there's like the 3 points of just all a drummer in my position anyway just really needs to know.
Yeah.
Play all those things. Yeah.
Now, your first band. What was your first band? Was Mayans your first band, or did you have a band before that?
I had a brief band that spanned maybe a year before Mayans, and oh, so this is when I meet my best friend growing up. One of my best friends, who we're still friends to this day, lives in Brooklyn, but his name is Andrew Hurtado. And Andrew's a kid who, kind of like our family, he moved up from Long Island to Rockland County in the Hudson Valley. Same period, seventh grade. You figure sixth, seventh grade.
Yeah.
And I remember, man, like middle school, walking in the hallway, seeing this kid. He's wearing a Thursday shirt. He's got the dove on it, like full collapse. It's the Thursday logo. I'm wearing some shirt or another, maybe probably Glassjaw, because I really didn't know much at that point either.
Yeah.
I was very minimal, the amount of bands that I knew as far as that sound goes. But then Andrew, I'm like, go up to him and I'm like, hey, nice shirt. I love Glassjaw. I mean, I love Thursday. And he's like showing me other bands. One of the bands he showed me was Converge.
Mm.
And man, that like after hearing Converge, it was scary. Same thing about here, like first time hearing Sawtooth, hearing those vocals, those scratchy vocals. I was like, how does that sound come out of a human being? Someone like Jacob Bannon. So I didn't know a single thing. This guy's a skater kid. I didn't have any skateboards. I didn't skate. I was like, this dude is cool. He's showing me Converge. So then we get into ninth grade. Fast forward a little bit, head into ninth grade, like 14 years old, 14, 15. He says, do you want to start a band? I'm telling him how I like just started to play drums. I got this Yamaha kit at home. And I was like, sure. I don't know how good I could be. I don't know I could guarantee you anything, but it'll be fun. Why not? Like Nyack has a music scene. Like let's do it. Olives is a bar that like was all ages. It's not like you have to be 16 to enter or 21. Now I feel like I don't know how we were kids, man. We were like 14, 15, and the bar was letting us play shows. Like this other bar here was letting us play shows. This back door, which was a church, they would have it every Friday. And we're like, let's build something. Let's get like a little hardcore scene going in this town. But so that first band was called Cielo Drive, and that was from 2004 to 2005, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that 2004? Maybe even 2003, 2004.
Yeah.
And Mayans was like shortly after because, again, with Andrew, he also kind of messed with Screamo a little bit too. Him coming from Long Island, I remember one day, like after school, going to his house, try to learn skateboarding tricks. He's like, "Hey, I want to play you this band that I used to see back in Long Island," and it was On the Might of Princes.
Oh, nice.
And I swear, he's playing me On the Might of Princes. That was what's up. Yeah, that was the first official Screamo band. It wasn't like I could say Glassjaw, yeah, Blood Brothers, sure, but probably On the Might of Princes. Him playing that for me in seventh grade, it changed my whole view. It changed my whole life. I couldn't believe it. They're still my favorite band till this day. Just because I think for that reason I have like a sentimental attachment to a band like that.
Yeah.
And Cielo Drive, the band that we had was it was all breakdown. It was 100% moshcore, just breakdown. We didn't care. I think at one point I had a cowbell, so I'm like, I'm even doing a breakdown on a cowbell. It was so cheesy. I don't know what people must have been hearing, like what that must have sounded like. But funnily enough, that band Cielo Drive it was definitely 03 to 04. We got really good shows. We got put on really good shows in Poughkeepsie, New York. Poughkeepsie had a venue called Club Cranell, The Chance, The Loft, and it was a whole little complex that was up in Poughkeepsie. The owner or like the promoter of that venue, he put us on a show with Circle Takes the Square. You know, we're kids. We're playing with Circle Takes the Square up there. I'm pretty sure we played with Ion Dissonance up there.
Yeah.
That's also where we played with Ed Gain.
Oh, no kidding. Nice.
It was unbelievable because I didn't know these bands. I'm just like, let's get a show where we can. And Andrew was the talker of the group. Like he was the networker. He was able to talk to people, and I think just like maybe with the skating scene, just kind of find out. I don't know, like how that happened with Club Club Crannel and the Chance. But that was Poughkeepsie, places like New Paltz, upstate New York. And doing our first mosh moves, like the windmill and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The penny picker-upper. Oh, man, but it's fun. Like, it's almost like Cielo Drive, the mosh band, played with more screamo bands than when Mayans got together.
Really?
It's like Mayans got together, and we did play with really good bands, but I remember talking, I was like, I really want to start a band finally, like, on the mic. I want to play in a band, like, on the mic of Princes already. This mosh thing was fun, but I'm ready to, like, take it to the next step. And that was Mayans, and that, you figure, was 2005 to 2009 that band lasted.
Yeah.
So, like, you figure sophomore year of high school to my second year of college. And I was in college in Providence, Rhode Island. So at that point, I just, for 2 years, did the associates up there. So I just kind of said, I can't be in a band. I can't be in a band from back home. But we would have kept it lasting probably even longer because honestly, Mayans was probably the most fun band I've ever been. And we played Mayans with Hot Cross at one point, Gospel. And that was the whole scene at that. You remember, I mean, because High School Sweethearts, probably the same thing, early 2000s to mid 2000s.
Yeah.
So, like, we played with Graf Orlock, Comadre, and a bunch of New Jersey bands, like New Brunswick. So I would say Make Me was a band going. Algernon Cadwalador, or how do you pronounce it? Algernon. That was for sure the scene. And Mayans and Daesu were almost 1-1 because those two bands started at the same time and ended at the same time. And Daesu was instrumental, but I would say with Daesu, same thing, all high school. This is all like within the 4 years and maybe a year or two after. But
yeah,
Daesu, we played with State Street Residential, which is, I know Johnny watches and Johnny's a fan over here. So I know it sounds like a lot of names right now. I'm just like throwing names out, but that was the scene. Just to kind of give an idea of like what the bands that were going,
Yeah. Johnny's such a good guy. My other band that I was in, the Paper Plane Crash, he gave us a show up in Burlington, Vermont, that he was setting up, and he was also in a band called Valkyrie for a little while, which like that band is super good. But we played with me and him, Call It Us, and Cobra Noir, like up there, and such a great time. And Johnny's such a great guy. Just he didn't know who we were. I sent him like a little demo. He's like, yeah, come on up, like play the show. It was like a work night. I drove all the way like 3.5 hours to Burlington, Vermont, played, watched the whole show, and then drove all the way back to New Hampshire and went to work. I think I slept like 2 hours, but such a great show and such a great guy too.
That drive is no joke. I mean, is it a lot like that? Because you would drive. You're in New Hampshire, so you would go to shows in Providence, and you would drive to Boston, maybe Amherst, Massachusetts. For you, like, it probably didn't matter so much distance. You're like, man, if it's a bill that you were set on going, you would make the trek and you would do it.
Yeah, I went to a lot of Connecticut shows, which is like, 2 hours, and if it's like Waterbury, that's like 3 hours. We're talking from where I live. So me and my buddies would do it on work nights all the time, just to especially early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, mid 2000s, like right around that time. It was every single show that was going on we tried to hit.
It's completely worth it. I mean, honestly, it's completely worth it. And I know that you have CDs and would like kind of collect CDs. I like the fact that like you'll show a CD to a band like with Page 99 with Chris or something. You're like, I still got the CD right here. And there's something endearing about that. You got the CD instead of like me. I started collecting records for a bit, but then my focus started to shift on T-shirts, as you know.
yeah, you're a T-shirt
At some
maniac.
point,
So good though.
It's I don't know what it was, but it's just that thing. You know what it is? It goes back to my buddy Andrew. It goes back to that time of like going up to people, and like the first thing you kind of point out is the T-shirt that they're wearing, and you're like, hey, I like that band, and then you just kind of build a conversation from there.
Yeah.
But I think it's as simple as that. I remember those 2 years being in Providence, a venue like AS 220. So like that band Witch played with Jay Mascis on drums, and Jay Mascis was, I didn't know that he could even play drums. I just knew him as like the insane guitar player from Dinosaur Jr.
Yeah.
But was having a show just all the time, and I was in Providence from like 2008 to 2009, just those 2 years.
Yeah.
But it was enough to like see Onlyville and Lightning Bolts, of course, playing. The Chinese Stars played a show.
Yeah.
But long story short, I just remember Jay Mascis wearing a Wipers t-shirt, and I didn't know who Wipers were. I just figured like, hey, if they're good enough for Jay, then I'm gonna go home and check out that band, you know.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, there's something to be said about a t-shirt just being like a walking billboard that you could just kind of go and take little pieces here and there, you know.
Yeah, I agree that. I mean, I was doing that in the, late 80s in Boston scene. It's so funny you say about T-shirts, because any cool T-shirt that I would see, or like a band that I was into that was obscure, and I saw somebody that was wearing it, I was like, oh my God, like, where did you get that T-shirt? Like, and then like you said, you drum up a conversation, and that's how you start meeting people. And I feel like, I don't know how it is nowadays, but hopefully it's like that nowadays too, where kids just see, the newer screamo bands or heavier bands like that, and they're doing the same thing that we were doing back in the day,
I honestly hope so. With the current bands right now, it's got to be. I feel like that's something that's always going to be talked about. Of course, the age of digital right now, and I'm sure people are like, if there's even like certain blogs or message boards, because like we were saying, there was SoulSeek, but then there was also these like almost screamo message boards. I was part of Viva La Vinyl.
Yeah, that was Vinyl. Yeah, me too.
You too?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it was like B9, which I didn't know much about. CM Hawk or something, CMC Hawk,
yeah.
And then Viva La Vinyl. I didn't do the other two, but VLV was like for sure the one. And yeah, probably since the beginning of when mine started to those Providence '08 or something.
Yeah.
It was just like VLV message boarding. But I wonder if there's something now. It's definitely Instagram, just seeing the posts come and go.
Yeah,
and,
yeah. Vinny
Yeah.
just said VLV gets me moist.
Vinny. I know, it's funny because even if you go on till this day, it's still like there's still like the same posters that are on there. And my buddy Eric, who's a bartender just like 10 blocks down from where I live, I'll meet up and get a drink from him and just like shoot the shit, and he'll still tell me about, like, update me on what's going on in VLV.
Yeah.
He's like, guess where I got this shirt? There's a whole bootleg thread on there, and I got to show you it because now I'm learning about these bootleg tees from the Viva La Vinyl thread, and I'm like, that's awesome. I'm missing out. Like, I gotta log back on and see what's going on with that.
Yeah. I try to collect shirts too as well. I have a few from way back in the day, but I've said on here a million times, most of those when I was skinny back then, I was doing youth larges, and now I wear an extra large because I'm fat. So it's like they didn't hold up the test of time too much. So I gave like all my youth larges to my daughter. She ended up getting them.
That's a good idea. And what do your kids think, for instance? Like, what does your daughter? What does she think about the music? Like, so do you think like she'll like the music?
Yeah, I don't. I have two daughters, and my youngest is probably more interested than my oldest one. My oldest one just likes the shirts. She likes the prints on them and stuff like that. And if they look old, she likes like how it looks old and kind of withered. So that's. But I've played like my bands in videos and like let them listen to them, and they were like, nah, like they call me emo. That I'm like emo. So.
Oh wow. Oh my God. Well, it's one of those things like. It's when they're at school, it's the classmates, it's what the classmates are listening to and their friends, and it's kind of like it's coming up together on the similar stuff, and nothing's to ever be forced. It's all good, but that's for sure, because even vintage is a thing. Like, just having that look, like that sort of weathered look I could see that being cool,
Yeah.
And but that's exactly it. I mean, yeah, I tried. I don't know. I tried getting into. Well, I know that you're a big hip hop guy, and so hip hop is something that's always in the back of my head. Like, I'm always wanting to explore that more. But to be honest, I need to always usually look at like playlists, for instance.
Yeah.
When you had Chris on Page 99 and he was talking about his brother's playlist on Spotify,
Yeah.
how there was like old '90s playlist. I was like, I went on that and just kind of went through, and it was a good way to kind of, because like you, I like the old school hip hop the best, you know.
Yeah,
Might be,
definitely.
yeah, Tribe Called Quest. That's like the mainstay, I feel.
Yeah.
Uh,
I got you. I'll send you a playlist after we talk. I have one on Spotify too.
if you got a playlist, that would be great. Yeah, just a whole mix to kind of get going. It would be good, you know.
Yeah, it's got some new stuff on it, but it's new stuff that sounds like old stuff. You know what I mean? It's not like the trap music. It sounds like old school boom bap style, but it's new artists from nowadays, like that are still doing that same style. That are like, it's really good too. Because I try to keep my finger on the button of like new hip hop artists that sound the way I want them to sound, and
Yeah,
also with new screamo bands as well. Because I feel like, I'm old. I'm 50 years old, but I still love all these new screamo bands that are coming out. They just excite me. In the past like 5 years, it's been so exciting to hear like
yeah.
new bands. You know what I mean? Like Diana Kralls or Foxtails or
Cocktails.
Nova Sciara, or
Yeah,
Blind Girls, which is like insane to me. Just bands like that. Just and what Tom's doing with hundreds of AU, like just blows me away how good like bands are nowadays. So
Blind Girls is a band that was talked about with Lytic. At almost all Lytic practices, we were just kind of like, hey, eventually, we got to play Australia and link up with Blind Girls.
yeah, yeah,
Honestly, had Lytic kept on going, and who's to say? Maybe like eventually something happens. We kind of we get Lytic back together, but which oh yeah, I didn't even mention that. Like, so a band like after Mayans, for instance, and Daesu, um, then going into black metal with Salo, for
yeah.
instance, and that was also with Andrew from my first band, Cielo Drive, and Daesu. So we played like half of our bands with each other, and DJ, who was the first guitarist with Lytic as well, he was in Daesu as well as Salo.
Oh,
So
nice.
we all kind of came up together in basically upstate New York, well, not upstate, but in suburban New York.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
but I was like, these are my dudes. Like, we're always gonna be in bands together. That's it. And so, yeah, just like jumping ahead a little bit, because I know people ask this a lot. They say, how did you get Lytic going? Like, how did that get started? And the answer is just DJ and I were at a show in Brooklyn. We were at the St. Vitus show to see Infest and Citizens Arrest play.
nice.
And this is late 2015, so not long ago. It's like November of 2015. And then I say to DJ, because we were huge Off Minor fans, still
Yeah,
are, but I was like, dude, that's Jamie from Off Minor. He's sitting right there. Just like any Giddy fan would be, like,
yeah,
should we go over? Yeah, we should tell him, right? Let's just say hi. Fuck it. But yeah, DJ and I go over like, Jamie, just gotta tell you, like, we're huge Off Minor fans. We love Seisha as well. And are you doing any music now? Like, what? So he's telling us how he has a band called Guns Don't Run,
yeah,
which is a street punk oi band. And I kind of heard about that a little bit. In fact, Salo, the black metal band, we played with his other band at one point called The Year Is One. And we shared a show together at St. Vitus, like maybe a year before that Infest show.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Wow, nice.
so that was also like a point to talk about. I was like, oh, you know what? I think that our bands played with each other at some point. And funnily enough, Mayans was supposed to play with Off Minor one time at a show in New Brunswick at like 120 Hamilton. And I remember this show because Sinaloa had played. And Off Minor was on the bill. Off Minor was on the flyer. And I said to one of the guys in Sinaloa, like, an hour goes by, 2 hours goes by. I was like, do you know if is Off Minor playing? Like, are they showing up?
Yeah,
And he's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe not tonight, but
yeah,
like next time. I was like, hey, that's all good. Happy to play with you guys, of course, But long story short, yeah, it's just kind of, I say, are you playing in any bands right now? He mentions Guns Don't Run. And I just throw it out, like almost half thinking. I'm just kind of saying like, well, hey, if you ever want to jam, please let me know.
yeah,
I'm not really doing any bands right now. There was a good 3-year period there after Salo where I just didn't play any music.
yeah.
I don't know why. I think it was just, so yeah, just kind of 2015, 2016, 20, no, 2014, 2015, but that kind of thing, 13,
Yeah.
14, 15. But I think I was getting used to having a full-time job, working for the family business, and I didn't want to have too much on the plate. Just still getting used to living in the city and all
Yeah.
these. But I was like, yeah, honestly, I'm ready. I'm ready to play music again, ready to pick up the drumsticks and just kind of do it up. So I couldn't believe it. He's like, you know what? Yeah, give me your number. I'm going to Australia. Jamie says I'm going to Australia for like 3 weeks, but when I get back, uh, I'll hit you up. and that was it. So you figure early on, like January 2016, we have our first Lytic practice, and DJ, Jamie, and I, we get our first 3 songs going, and it happened very easily like that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It happened very smoothly like that. And so that's something that I tell young people in Screamo now, too. Like, they're like, wow, Jamie from Seisha. But, and I'm like, look, you could go up to someone that you really look up to, someone that you, like a hero of yours. Just go
Yeah.
up to them at a show and be cool, like say hi, have a conversation, and you never know. Like you could play with that person. You could
Yeah.
easily play with that person. Yeah.
I got to play with Off Minor up in Connecticut with High School Sweethearts. That was a great show. Brian from Day and the Children set that show up, and
Oh man.
it was I think it was Wolves, In Pieces, Off Minor, us, and Barstow, a band from Connecticut as well that played that show. Super fun show.
That's a lineup. That's a really good lineup. And isn't In Pieces, they're from Connecticut?
Yeah, they
I
were
think
from
that
Connecticut as well. Yep. The assistant
they're
was
from,
supposed to play, but
yeah.
they backed out, and then Wolves took their place.
Oh man, so that's right. Yeah, Wolves was a band. You put the video up. I didn't even know that was a thing. It was a Wolves amp here, like Punkestra.
Oh
That
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah. It's incredible. I think they played only like two or three shows, and I was at 2 of the shows that they played together, which was incredible. Just so awesome.
that's so sick. And I know you had sent the High School Sweethearts video now, but what I wanted to ask you was, didn't Ron from like Gene Scene, Ron, did he put out High School Sweethearts recently, like sort of discography on cassette tape?
Yeah, he did. Ron's such a great guy. We were like talking for the past few years and stuff, and such a great guy. And he was just like, yeah, I could put the discography out, make some tapes and stuff like that for you. And I was like, oh my God, that would be amazing. I mean, nobody really knows High School Sweethearts anyways, but such a nice guy just to do that.
Ron is so
Yeah.
nice, honestly, like that. That's so cool. Ron and Matt, but I hope it's not sold out because I want to get a copy.
No, I don't. I think he has a few left, and if you go to his Bandcamp, you can listen to it like right on his Bandcamp as well. So anybody that wants to hear my old band, you know, it's nothing spectacular, but you know, it's out there if anybody wants it.
I want to hear it. I need to hear it, and I only know that because yeah, Ron was telling me about how he's doing the cassette tapes, and not only that, but he's like dyeing them, and he's kind of making them these interesting colors and tie-dye
Yeah.
effect. And I was like, so then later finding out that High School Sweethearts was your band and that was going to be one of the releases that he was doing, I thought that was like, I didn't even put the two together really until realizing that was your old project. And
Yeah.
Screams just now on that video that you had tagged, like you had 2 vocalists going pretty much, like you were doing vocals and then it looked like your guitarist was also
Yep.
doing, yeah. Man, those yeah.
Back then, that was a big thing. 2 vocalists, like especially in the '90s, was a huge thing too as well.
The 2 vocalist thing. I mean, what's a band that we played with also early on, Cielo Drive. First, it was the number 12 Looks Like You. You know?
Yeah.
And that was it. It was like put on your rosy red glasses or something, but it was like the 2 vocalist thing, and it was major. Like it was the talk of the town. Like, you know, we played. I remember we played this venue in Archer Hall, like basically another just church that would do shows in North Jersey, Bergen County.
Yeah.
And like we played a show there with number 12 Looks Like You, and then I see someone with like the Envy t-shirt on, and realizing that at that same week, if not the same day, that tour was going on with Malady and
Oh yeah,
and Envy.
yeah.
So then you figure it's like 2005 that show is happening. And I'm like, oh man, are you kidding? I'm missing that show. If I wasn't playing the show, then I would have been at that one. I would have seen the Envy Malady one.
Yeah.
And but still, that's like one of these like shows of legend, one of these like folklore tours that you hear about, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Now your new band. Now, is it Pembroke? Because I've heard somebody say Pembroke. Is it Pembroke? Because it's spelled Pembroke.
Honestly, like I feel like saying Pembroke, but you're right. Including all of the other members, they say Pembroke. And to be honest, we're named that band because our singer Ron, another Ron, you know, our singer Ron, that's his hometown. The first town he ever, you know, grew up in, was born in, was Pembroke Pines, Florida.
Yeah. Oh, no kidding.
So I'm pretty sure, yeah. So we just took out the Pines and named it Pembroke. You know, come to find out that there's like multiple towns named Pembroke throughout the country, but so I think the fact that he pronounces it like that and it's named after the town, I was like, all right, I'll call it Pembroke as well. You know,
Yeah.
who said that? Handstand Records. That's who's putting out our record. Yeah. Thank you, Will. Will is the man. He's been, you know, we're in this group chat and he's just kind of saying like, what do you guys want for album cover? Send me the pictures, like take a group shot. That's all you guys have to do. I'll put the rest together.
Yeah.
So Will, we really, really appreciate it. You're doing solids. Like you have no idea. You were really like, you're taking on the brunt of this project, and that's it. Yeah. Handstand Records. You couldn't be any happier.
And that comes out in the summer, right?
It should be this summer. Yeah. What do you say, Will? Maybe like June, July, sometime around there. But yeah, it's 13 songs, and it's a band that was never rushed, especially because the bulk of it was during the pandemic. Just having 2 years of pandemic practices.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've played one show so far. I know you could almost like talk about the pandemic and put it on you could put on COVID so much, but like, but we are more than ready. We're 100% ready to play more shows. And it's just a matter of emailing folks and I don't know, seeing what's out there. But for one, like, yeah, there's shows in Brooklyn every single night. So it's just a matter of, I tell it to the guys. I'm like, look, I know that we practice in Manhattan, and unfortunately, there's no more CBGB, there's no more ABC, there's no more venues so much in Manhattan.
Yeah.
So the real scene is at like all these Brooklyn, Ridgewood. So that was our first show, was at Bar Frida in Ridgewood, and it'll be so great to be able to do that. You know.
Yeah.
See you in the pit.
And you have a song on the Sunken Temple Records compilation, "Piece of the Beast," right? That there's a Pembroke song on that, right?
Yeah. So, "A Piece of the Beast," Sunken Temple had initially Matt from that label messaged Lytic, and it's probably like early in the pandemic at this point, so it's like the summer of 2020, and he says, "Hey, Frankie, I'm putting on a compilation. It's gonna be all New York bands. People's Temple Project is on it. Gospel is gonna be on it." He says, "What do you think about Lytic? Do you guys have any recording that you'd be able to put on?" And I was like, "Oh man, I don't know. Lytic hasn't played in so long. I really don't know what's happening with that band. But I'll tell you what, that we have a new band called Pembroke, just getting started. So if you're interested, we'd be more than happy to be a part of this compilation in placement instead of Lytic." But and thank God Matt was cool about that, and it worked out, because I almost feel like that track, we picked a track that was pretty poppy, or at least it's like a poppier punk kind of song.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to describe in general, like when we recorded last winter, the guy Chris who recorded us in Hoboken, he kind of described our sound as a little bit of like Husker Du, which I took as a big compliment, you know.
Yeah.
You guys almost have like a DC Discord 90s Discord thing going on meets Husker Du, so I was like, we'll take it. That's great, yeah. Because the songs could be all over the place. It might be like blast beat here, pretty thrashy, but then also straight up D beat here, or maybe like emo part for a lot of the songs. Just naturally, it's like Lytic ideas that kind of spilled into Pembroke a little bit. But no, exciting, and that's the most current project that we got going. So the guys in the group are very set on always kind of like playing Europe at some point or another. So
Yeah.
that's how it was with Lytic too. It was almost like, let's practice, 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 and we'd be more than happy to play DC, Philly, even like down to Richmond. We'd go up to New England, of course. We'd be happy to do Boston, and if you ever have like any shows in mind, anything that is being set up in New Hampshire, like we'll do a whole like New England roundabout.
Yeah.
No problem. But other than that, I think usually we're like, hey, we got to tour Italy. We got to do Italy again. We gotta maybe do Germany because it's a big drinking town.
Yeah.
We're at practice beers. Yeah.
Now Jamie's in Italy right now, or is he back yet?
That's right. Yeah, he's still in Italy for a whole month span. So
Yeah. Oh, must be nice.
Yeah, and it's a whole month off Pembroke, but it's all right because we have a show coming up April 16th. Actually, it's going to fall on Saturday. I'm pretty sure, but so I'm pretty sure. Yeah, when Jamie's going to come back, we'll have like 2 practices. We'll just run through the set, and this will be our second show coming up, and hopefully like that gets some momentum, and we could just kind of get more from there and lead into spring and summer with shows. I really want to play out, man. I miss playing so badly.
Yeah. Now, do you have like any wants to get into another heavy band while you're doing this band? Because I know people get into like a bunch of different bands. Do you have the fever of getting into like a crazier, heavier sounding band, like nowadays, or?
Completely. And actually, something's in the talks right now.
Oh, nice.
Something's in the talks where for a while now, probably for over a year now, where my buddy Matt, his name is Matt Weinberg, and I've helped his band out on drums that was called Flesh Prison while Lytic was going on. So like probably the second half of Lytic. My buddy Matt was in a band called Flesh Prison. He needed a drummer because his drummer had moved to California. And I was like, I like you guys. Yeah, I love what you guys do. And it was kind of like simplified black metal. Like, as a drummer, all I had to do was a pogo beat. It was this boop, bat, boop, bat, boop, bat, boop, bat. So it was, Matt, he jokes about it. He's like, man, you learned the songs quick. It was just a matter of learning the songs in like a week and a half, 2 weeks, because he wanted to play a show in Montreal. There was a really sick fest happening in Montreal. This is like 2017 or something, not long ago at all. But I was like, I'll do it. I learned the songs, a couple of weeks, banged it out. Like, we played this awesome fest. Long story short, you figure like, again, like kind of like maybe last year he says, you know what I've been listening to a lot is bands like The Great Redneck Hope and From a Second Story Window, and like very technical metalcore type of bands, grindcore. And I was like, I love stuff like that. Are you kidding? And he says, you want to do a band like that?
Sick.
So that's it. Like, we had our first practice
Awesome.
2 weeks ago, and I think we're going to have a practice again coming up soon. But yeah, it's just a matter of finding a band name. He's got everything all recorded. It's like all recorded on GarageBand, and he's got it all electronic drums, GarageBand drums. But it makes it so easy because I could be at home right now and just kind of like listen to the tracks. Dude, I'm so looking forward to this because, especially a band like the Great Redneck Hope, that's probably like who we're kind of shooting for, that kind of sound, If we,
such a great band.
Thing, yeah, and that chat that you did with the drummer there,
Dan.
That was a very enjoyable chat. In fact, I forwarded that to the band. I was like, hey, you guys mentioned this group, like you gotta check out my buddy Hal. He does these chats, and one of them was with Great Redneck. So
yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep you for too long, so you know what's coming. You know the rapid fire is coming.
Rapid fire, baby. Let's do it.
First off, the first question, all-time favorite New England punk hardcore band for you?
My all-time favorite punk New England hardcore band is Death to Tyrants. It's Death to Tyrants. And it's because they're from New Hampshire. I was thinking about this probably in like 2004. I wore that record out that was called like Experience Will Be Your Monument and Your Love by Death to Tyrants. It's so impressive. It's very angular, very melodic, and in fact, I'll show you this T-shirt here. This is it.
Oh, sick! Oh, that's awesome.
It's original.
Oh, it's awesome.
Death to Tyrants, and this was the record. I could really picture being at home, like at my folks' place, spinning this record constantly. And
That's
then
amazing.
it was them and Ampere, of course. Like Ampere would be another one up there. Honestly, they'd be 2 and 1 for me. Ampere and Death to Tyrants.
Nice.
But
Awesome.
yeah, I would hope that you'd appreciate. Are they
It's so
from?
awesome.
Because New Hampshire, you know.
Yeah. I saw Death to Tyrants actually with Furnace up in New Hampshire in a basement. This kid Tyler used to have basement shows, and both those bands played with Furnace, and La Antietam played, and
Oh man,
Sinaloa might have played that show too. I don't know. That kid did crazy basement shows in New Hampshire though, like unbelievable shows.
it's so good. Yeah, it's so good. The basement shows that were happening at that spot, kind of thing.
Yeah,
But
crazy.
like we were saying, traveling to shows, that might have been the farthest I traveled for a single show. Was I drove from the city all the way to AS220, because this is like maybe 5 years ago or 6 years ago, but it was Ampere and Death to Tyrants played AS220.
Oh, no kidding.
As far as I know, that was like the last sort of public appearances for each band. I know that they've been in a hiatus, something like that. But
yeah, wow, that's awesome. I'll keep going. What was your first punk hardcore show you attended? Real hardcore show.
First punk hardcore show, right? Not counting like local stuff, because there was of course local acts, there was local shows, but I would say the first big one was, like I said, we were tailgating Coheed shows for a while, so whatever they were doing, and Coheed opened for a show that was Hot Water Music and Thrive. Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
And I remember this because it was Old Bridge, New Jersey. So, like, again, just like North Jersey, Rockland County is right on the border of Bergen County, the first county of New Jersey. So, like, there was so many shows there, and like that was a big one. That was an eye opener. Like seeing Hot Water Music and a real deal sort of mosh pit going. That was more than just the 20 kids from Nyack, and that one, and also Coheed opening for. No, I'm sorry. Not with that band. We saw From Autumn to Ashes. That was an early show too.
Oh, nice.
Like 2003, and really funny lineup because it was Rexplex, which is like a skateboarding place. They've done a Hellfest there. Rexplex was like a skateboarding indoor arena, and they've done a couple Hellfest there. But like 2003 Rexplex, it was like From Autumn to Ashes and Avenged Sevenfold. And like Engage, and those bands opened for From Autumn to Ashes, and I wanted to see From Autumn because I was like, hey, they're from Long Island too, and Andrew said that he saw them and On the Might of Princes together, so I was like, they got to be good. I'm willing to see that show.
Oh, that's awesome.
Those were the first 2 shows, the first 2 big hardcore shows.
My next one, what was your all-time favorite show you played?
There was a lot of those gigs. A lot of really fun, insane gigs being a kid, like being an early teenager. But, and I don't know if it's because this is more recent or what, but I got to say with Lytic, the most fun show I've ever played was Zagema Beach Festival in Vancouver. Yeah, it was so much fun meeting Dave Norman, just knowing that Dave is like single-handedly, I think you might have said this at one point, like we feel like Zagema Beach is like almost the new level playing. How putting stuff out constantly and spreading the word of like these new awesome screamo bands,
Yeah, Dave's amazing.
Like Dave is amazing, incredible dude. He was there like with open arms. He's like, hey, you need a place to crash? I got you. Like you need help setting things up, and it was just like a very smooth trip. I remember there was no issues, there was no problems whatsoever. Jamie and I just like going to have oysters, drink some beers at the brewery, and then go to Zagema Fest. And not only that, meeting up with Steve Roach and his bands that were playing. Seeing like a good, solid group of people. Lytic didn't go on until like 2 a.m. It was
really?
By the time we played, it was so late, and even that was kind of funny because we were like, "Hey guys, thanks for sticking around. I know it's late, but you guys made it, and you're really you're here to see us. You're here to stick it out, and we appreciate that." And till this day, I still keep in touch with folks, just like, people who watched us play, who just came out to the show, who, I have them on Instagram, and we'll just kind of like shoot the shit. I'll see how they're doing. We'll message each other, but yeah, that was the show.
Nice,
nice.
Yeah. Yeah, we have 5 minutes or so, so we'll try to run through this. Instagram, they used to give me 4 hours, now they give me an hour all the time.
Man, and shit, yeah, an hour flies by so fast.
I know. I'll keep going. What was your all-time favorite hardcore show that you attended that you didn't play, that you went and saw and kind of blew you away?
Favorite hardcore show I attended, Snapcase. Again, recent one. Snapcase, 2018 at Brooklyn Bazaar. So, because I'm gonna say like favorite is synonymous with scariest. And man, the moshing that was going on, I was on the edge of the pit, and I had to move. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna get hit in the face and break a nose or something. But seeing the energy for Snapcase, unbelievable. It was so sick. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it was a dream come true to talk to Daryl just a little while ago too. That was like so fun for me to talk to Daryl from Snapcase as well. So I love Snapcase.
That's a big one. You get these huge names. That's why me being here right now talking to you, it's just like
I've been wanting to talk to you for the longest time. So like I love every talk that I've had. I love everybody that I've talked to. It's just it's all the same to me. Just musicians that I look up to and admire, and it's just a pleasure to talk to you. Honestly, you know what I mean?
You're a legend, bro. You did a lot for the scene, documenting everything. Doing this right now, yeah.
Thank you, man. I always ask the movie question. What was the last movie you watched?
Oh, I'm embarrassed about this one. I was like, you know what? Hal is going to ask this question, and I can't lie. So the movie was called, fuck, was it called? Charlie Day was in it from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
It was called, I think it was called I Want You Back, and it was like a rom-com, with Charlie Day. Late. But hey, I love It's Always Sunny. So when I saw that Charlie Day was in it, I'll watch anything that any of those people do.
Yeah.
But it was a good one, and I'll tell you what, the movie I saw before that one was The Many Saints of Newark. So,
nice.
Not that movie was like that gory. There wasn't that many like shooting scenes, but the fact that it was like a mob movie, I think seeing the rom-com kind of like it evened it out. It evened the intensity
out. I always ask this too. If you've been listening to hip hop, what have you been listening to lately?
There's an artist. There's someone who passed away not long ago. I didn't know who he was beforehand, but it was Nipsey Hussle. Nipsey Hussle. Seeing that news of the insane of him passing like that was awful. But I looked up his music. I looked up Nipsey Hussle, and so I was listening to. I think he had like one album. It's definitely like one studio album out, and he was on the rise. He was definitely a guy that was like, he seemed like he was on the rise, and I really liked that one album. That's something that I heard recently. It was called like Victory Lap, I think. Victory Lap.
Yeah.
Was that it? Yeah, Nipsey Hussle.
Yeah.
Victory Lap. And then from him, I found a guy, Freddie Gibbs.
Oh, Freddie Gibbs, yeah.
Do you know Freddie Gibbs? Yeah. And
I've seen Freddie Gibbs live, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
He's a current, as far as like current hip hop, because, I didn't want to always have to. I love De La Soul, and I love Prince Paul, and these guys, and even Gravediggers. Gravediggers is probably my favorite of all time.
Yeah.
But just I wanted to listen to something more current, and probably Freddie Gibbs and Nipsey Hussle.
Nice. We got 1 minute. Last question. What is your favorite song to play live?
Favorite song to play live? Oh man, it's with Lytic, and it's called "Bless Your Tourist Heart" by Lytic.
That was my favorite song. Such a good song. Frankie, I want to thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate you taking the time out to do this. Like I said, it was a long time coming. We've been talking for a long time, and I asked you a long time ago, but I had to get you on here because you always follow me, and you talk about my show and stuff like that. And I love Lytic so much. Like that band is so special to me.
Wow.
Jamie's such a great guy too. So I just want to thank you so much for taking time out on a Sunday, especially at noon. You know, it's sunny out. Everybody's, and we're here talking hardcore and stuff like that. So I appreciate it, man. I really do.
Getting to chop it up, Hal, thank you so much. And we'll stay in touch. If you're ever in New York, please get in touch.
Yeah, same thing here. Anytime you're up in New Hampshire, let me know. I'll steer you in the right direction. Hopefully, I'm thinking about doing some basement shows before I redo my basement up in New Hampshire. So
Oh man,
that
yes,
would be
please.
a dream come true.
Thank you, brother, and we'll stay in touch.
Definitely, and I'll send you some links to like some Spotify lists and some other things as well.
Yes, please. I would love that, and I'm down to just like trade music. We'll switch music. We trade T-shirts too. If you want to do any trades, let me know.
Yeah, definitely. Frankie, once again, thank you so much. Have a great day. Let's stay in touch and have a great spring too.
You as well. We'll be in touch, man. I appreciate
All right,
it.
thank you.
Take care.